Welcome to Best Kitchens Magazines. I'm Chef Mark, and this year for our fall episode, I'm going to be talking about the bounty of the season. We're going to be making a salad and a roasted hot dish utilizing fennel. I've got the hearth oven preheating. We're going to go ahead and use some cooking modalities and create a couple of really nice fall-inspired dishes just using a couple of ingredients that you might have kicking around. All right, fennel is great, both cooked and raw. And today we're gonna do some roasted fennel with our heirloom carrots. Now, when I'm processing fennel, I think of everything above the bell. All of this is not tremendously edible. It can get very woody very quickly. Peel our carrots. Beautiful. I get a question periodically, which is, should I peel my carrots at all? And I will say this, with organic carrots, these heirloom carrots, I tend to keep the skin on. However, this skin is pretty thick and a little leathery. These carrots are not quite in season, so I'm just peeling them to kind of clean up the flavor and the look. But the baby carrots, there's no need to peel those at all. Just wash them really well, maybe with a scrub brush, and off to the races. I like cutting my carrots into long batons. All right, beautiful. If you have standard carrots, that works great too. Now fennel. I like to cut my fennel from the top down and then cut the core out. Leathery, not very nice. Any of the rusty bits come off. I think one of the downsides to fennel is that it's relatively expensive, and then there's a tremendous amount of waste between the fronds, the core, and some of these leathery bits on the outside. For the price of the vegetable, it doesn't really feel like a great value, and I agree. The thing about fennel is that it's got a strong flavor when it's raw and cut chunky like this, but once cooked, it really mellows out. I like to add fennel to my tuna salad if I've got extra fennel kicking around. I'm not sure what to add it to, or any salad. Works great with apples, which is what we're going to demonstrate next. Salt and pepper, of course, maple syrup, extra virgin olive oil, Dijon mustard, some lemon, and fresh herbs. The amounts will be in the description of this video. When I'm roasting vegetables, I like to taste them before I get them into the oven and adjust seasoning. I like to roast on a rack. That's going to give us even browning without me needing to turn and flip throughout the cooking process. Now, I'm lucky enough to have the Monogram hearth oven preheated right behind me, so I'm going to cook this in the hearth oven. Let's take a look. Roasted vegetables, preheat. She's ready to go. Of course, you can cook this in your conventional oven as well, but we got the hearth oven handy, so we might as well use it. Okay, utilizing fennel one more time, we're gonna use fennel cold for a salad. I have a mandolin here. This is the second most dangerous tool in a professional kitchen. The first being an industrial meat slicer. Cut glove. Said if you were using a mandolin or a meat slicer, you had to wear a cut glove. It was mandatory. Off to the races. I want this nice and thin with fennel raw. See, I just caught myself. That would have been a trip to the hospital right there. Whew, so easy to do. Let's see. Nice, look at that, love it. And for the apples, I will say if I'm cooking apples, I always peel them. The crunchiness from the apple comes from the skin, but when you cook an apple, the skin holds up the heat really well, so you end up with the stringiness. But if we're shaving, then you can go ahead and leave the skin on. I'm gonna cut this down into smaller pieces. I just like to cut around the outside, like so. And off to the races. I like a lot of chopped parsley. I just cut down to a reasonable amount, like so. And it's gonna get mixed in, nice and rustic. If you get in the habit of keeping your cutting board in place, you'll find it's a lot safer and quicker. Nice. Little red onion. And I like red onion because I like the appearance. Pinch of salt, pinch of pepper, and I made an apple cider vinaigrette. I get this question fairly frequently. What is the difference between apple vinegar, cider vinegar, and apple cider vinegar? Because different recipes call for different things. And let me tell you, they're all the same thing. Yes, the names are slightly different, but if you have one, don't go shop for the other if your recipe calls for it. So I've got a little bit of mustard in here, extra virgin olive oil, and for sweetness, more maple syrup. Let's give this a toss and let's see all our food come together. I think this would be a nice addition to a Thanksgiving table. For a little added crunch, I'm gonna do some nuts. Today, toasted pistachios. Let's take a look at our roasted carrots and fennel. Wish you could smell this. All right, we have fennel in two different ways. We've got a cold salad featuring apple, and we have our warm roasted fennel with heirloom carrots. I think this speaks to a rustic simplicity and a real elegance that'd be perfect for a holiday table or meal any day of the year where there's a little chill in the air. I like the roasted vegetables, the roasted fennel with carrots. It's a great way to not only warm your soul, but warm your kitchen because you're utilizing your oven. And then for a colder option, something you could even make a night before, the slaw, I think looks really elegant. It's gonna have a satisfying crunch and really take advantage of those nice raw fennel flavors. So a couple of different ways to utilize an ingredient that is a little less common. With Best Kitchens Magazine, I'm Chef Mark. Thanks for cooking along with me today.